Wow. And that's, of course, that's the slave house. That's one of the slave houses. Good to see you again, sir. It's been 13 years.
That's right.
Good to
How
see
you been?
Doing fine. Good.
Right, so that's and we
Alexander Sharpton. How many slaves were staying there?
I have no idea.
This is where they would have slavery.
Yeah, that's when, exactly. That was, exactly.
The two people that most influenced my life were from South Carolina, James and Jesse. Jesse right up the road with me. I went over his mother's funeral. Jesse walked me to my mother's casket.
Wow.
From South Carolina. That's the balance of my life, James.
Yeah.
Civil rights, shoulders.
But also where your people from too.
Literally.
Yeah, right.
And when I knew Jesse was from James, I started president.
Yeah.
And James had died before I knew about it in South Carolina.
Oh, really?
Yeah. James died December 25th. He died Christmas Day, 06. And they came to do the story for February of 07. They came in January. His daughter swear that was his daddy and helped me push the information out.
Wow.
And I called Jesse and told him, do you know that my great-grandfather was a slave about 45, because Ringo right up to I-20. He said, I told you we was connected. That's why you gotta listen to me. But now. I had a thought this morning that I want to share with you about mentorship. I am able to do a lot of what I do because I had great mentors, but there are correct ways and incorrect ways to mentor people, in my opinion. I was mentored as a boy preacher by Bishop F.D. Washington, one of the great Pentecostal preachers of his time. Then Reverend William Jones, who became my pastor after Bishop Washington died, who was unquestionably in the top 5 black church ministers, theologians. Reverend Jesse Jackson, who I started my activism under his leadership, he and Reverend Jones. And I learned politics directly as a youth director from Shirley Chisholm. So even though I didn't finish college, I had the most unique education in the world from being exposed to giants. But the one thing I learned is as I grew older and people started coming younger than me and wanted me to teach and mentor them, the magic of the mentors I had is they did not want me to be their clone. They wanted me to learn things from them and use my own gifts and talents in my own unique way and let me do things on my own. because they knew that if I flopped in some things, it would teach me for the other things. They'll come and help me once I was down, but they were not going to have me avoid being down. And they were not going to impose themselves on me. Why am I saying that? Because too many mentors want clones, and too many mentees want their mentors to put them on a pedestal. Oh, so-and-so didn't do this for me. Oh, so-and-so didn't open doors for me. If they got to open doors for you, it may mean that they knew you weren't ready to go through those doors. Their job is to prepare you. Your job is to develop your own skills, your own unique ways. And I don't care if it's my daughters, who both have come into their own, or anyone else. I'm not a talent agent. I did not form National Action Network to give people their step up. I formed it to fight for justice for everybody. If talented people get in, it's my job to invest and give them a platform. It's their job to get on the platform and perform and show their ability. Sitting with me today in the office as I talk about it is one of my mentees, Reverend Stephen Marshall. Now, Stephen, you just came around us when you were how old?
11 years old.
11 years old. You just turned 40 and now you're called to the ministry?
Yes, sir.
And what do you do in National Action Network?
I formulate policies, lead in various regions, but most importantly, I senior advisor you on all things from social justice strategies, politics, intergovernmental affairs, you name it, community organizing, all of that stuff.
And I could go through scores of others. My daughter started Huddle. They got Huddles now, which is for young people to meet once a week all over the country. I just saw the video from the Las Vegas National Action Network chapter. Now, when you decided to preach, did I ever tell you to become a preacher?
Not one time.
Who called you to preach?
The Lord.
All right. And did I say go to this school or that school?
No, sir.
Did I open this door, that door? Did I tell you be ready when the door's open?
Always be ready and prepared.
And that's what I'm saying. Get you some young people than you that you can help along the way. But don't be their talent agent. Their talent must speak for themselves. And anybody that grumbles with you about so-and-so didn't do something for them, maybe it's because they didn't feel you were ready, or that they felt if they did it, you wouldn't do it on your own. But we all don't live forever. I want the next generation to speak of me, of National Action Network, and others, the way I speak of Reverend Jones and Bishop Washington and Shirley Chisholm and Reverend Jackson. But I just don't want young people to feel that somebody ought to give them the reins of leadership or give them the reins of business or whatever it is you're in. You need to learn from their journey, get the pearls of wisdom from them, but don't have them do for you, because then it means you can't do it for yourself. No justice, no justice. What do we want? What do we want?
We are the sons and the daughters. We gotta stand up and make it loud. Just like our God told the Pharaoh, let my people go, go. We are a new generation from the ones who have come before. He's calling us into freedom. Let my people
reduced a lot of our ministry to entertainment. Or who can hoop the loudest, who can run around the pulpit more, or who got the dresses fancy, and don't deal with the ministry. Jesus healed more people than he preached to. Because there is in the healing your message. They followed Jesus because he healed a woman with the issue of blood. They followed Jesus because Jesus saw a blind man named Bartimaeus. A lot of us would have dismissed him because he was a broke, poor, homeless, a blind man. How you know he was broke, Reverend? Because they say he was begging. But he understood what he was doing because he heard that Jesus was passing by. And when September the 11th, do you know what time it is? It's Sharpton's time. And for the next 3 hours, it's time to put aside all pretenses, deception, denial, or fronting. The time has come to keep it real on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. A very good afternoon to you all across the country. And good morning to our West Coast listeners. Welcome to those listening on Sirius XM Channel 126, the Urban View, where talk empowers and becomes action. I'm coming to you live from our National Action Network corporate headquarters in New York. This is the 24th anniversary of 9/11, and we are looking a day later on the killing of Charlie Kirk, a major conservative influencer. So a lot of thinking today about violence. And I want to take your calls. What do you think 24 years later after 9/11, where 3,000 people in the World Trade Center here alone, some of whom I knew, were killed just for being to work? People forget those terrorists didn't send an email around selling blacks don't go to work tomorrow, or Latinos. They kill everybody that was in the building because they saw all Americans as one, even though we're not. Young man stayed with my family 8 or 9 weeks. His mother had been in the building. He stayed. I watched the first 2 weeks. Every time the phone rang, he would run, hoping it was his mother calling that she got through. And finally, about the 3rd or 4th weekend, he gave up, understanding that she was not coming back. He went ahead and finished college, got a degree, and now is a minister pastoring in the Bronx, New York. I just preached his installation banquet. A lot of people had to pick up the pieces of all races. We see what happened to Charlie Kirk yesterday. And I see CJR's on our message page saying, beef up on security, Rev, get the security. And you're right, CJR. We had a security meeting here at National Action Network last night. Brought in extra security. Because you have nuts out there that'll say, oh, they got the conservative guy. Let's get some guys we know on the other side of the aisle. Revenge. And I'm one of the more high-profile people, so I'm not taking nothing for granted. So Nan convened last night. I beefed up my security. But the fact that we live in such a time that this is almost normalized, it is sick. Guns available, sick. They had a shooting in Colorado yesterday that was overshadowed by the killing of Kirk. It's almost like it ain't even news no more. So let's talk about the state of violence and what have we learned in terms of world violence. Where are we 24 years after 9/11? Well, I'll tell you where we are. We're on the brink of getting pulled into Ukraine now that we see Russia had drone attack over Poland. Poland retaliated, which is a NATO country. We're on the brink of a complete wipeout of people with genocidal process by Netanyahu in Gaza. So in 24 years, we're not much better positioned in the Middle East than we were 24 years ago when bin Laden moved. And what's going to turn this around? We got, all of us need to understand that we've got to challenge this. And like I said, CJR is right. He says several HBCUs across the country are getting campus threats today. They are even more than that. They get locked down. I'm getting ready to put out a press release. Hampton and other black colleges is being locked down because they're getting threats. And as I said, I'm getting them. And I'm sure others are. We cannot, should not, will not afford to keep living in this violent climate, because you playing Russian roulette every day. Is it gonna be me? Is it gonna be you? You know, people say to me last night when I went to a little meeting and they saw I had extra security, Al, you right to have extra security? I said, wait a minute. Every day you get up, we all playing Russian roulette with our lives because all the guns out here. You don't have to be well known to get shot now. This country's obsession and infatuation with guns is going to lead to demise. And I think that we've got to deal with it. So let's talk about that today. Daryl Prunty says, I'm praying that God be your shield and buckler wherever you go and be, Reverend Sharpton. Thank you, Daryl. I sure appreciate prayers, and I'm praying we all wake up. Rosa Robertson says, good afternoon, Nan family. And I thought I saw Laurie. We're getting so many emails, they're getting pushed. Okay, Laurie, exactly, Reverend Al Sharpton, exactly. It has become the normal in society, the normal around the world. And Happiness Donuts is saying VP Harris needs her security detail reinstated. No doubt about it, this is not the time that Trump has canceled her security, that she's her federal security, her Secret Service security, that she was supposed to have until January. He canceled it now. So Happiness Donuts is right. And Living on the Rock Ministry says, living the testimony of Isaiah 60, in spite of gross darkness, we arise and shine in its midst. I needed that scripture. I thank you for that. And I think all of us do. And I think that that is an appropriate scripture. We rise. And Mayor Rodney Jones said, yes, Ms. Cassandra, where was the outrage for Representative Hortman? The Republicans didn't show much emotions. And that's correct. But I'm not going to match them on how low they behave. I'm going to stay where I'm supposed to be, even though I know that they will not act accordingly. Because this is not about defining who they are, it's about defining who we are. So let's take your calls. First hour, let's talk about violence. what is going on in American culture, that we cannot get out of this cycle of violence, this cycle of settling political differences with bullets, and your reflections 24 years later after 9/11. Some of you are old enough to remember where you were and what you were doing on 9/11. And let's talk about all of that. I'm going to open up the phones, 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, or you can go on the message board at nationalactionnetwork.net and put a message in on our live stream page. Tanya Stovall is saying on there, I agree, Demetrius Jones, hatred breeds more hatred. No, once you start hating, you recycle that hate. And I think that it is what we must advocate is that we must not be the recycler. We must not become what we're fighting. Easy. Your emotions will drive you there. And we've got to say, no, I'm not going to become what I'm fighting. That is the challenge. And we got to force change. Happiness Donor said they didn't change the gun laws with Sandy Hook, so I'm losing hope. We can't lose hope. I understand what you're saying, Happiness Donut. I've been stabbed. I didn't lose hope. And I often say in sermons that my mother, who raised me, a single mother, raised my sister and I in the Pentecostal church. I grew up in Church of God in Christ, later became Baptist. And my mother used to say, when I had you, I put 2 gears in you. Al, I said, what's that? She said, 1 gear is hope. She said, but there's another gear you need to go when hope runs out, called faith. Sometimes hope is not enough, so you switch your gears to faith, because faith is the substance of things hoped for, evidence of things unseen. So I go by Mama. When I run out of hope, I just hit my gears and go into faith and deal with the unseen, but I hold on anyhow. Let's take a break. I'm lining up these calls, 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. Sharpton, keeping it real. Be right back.
Encourage us, because where we are, we need guidance, we need direction. Reverend Sharpton, if you could please guide us and say a few words, because we just must. There's no way you're interviewing us.
Baku is so special to all of us. And what has happened this week, let me tell you, Baku and Rich Dennis and the rest will not tell you, against all obstacles, they said we're going to make this happen. I was here 31 years ago when Essence Music Festival started. I've spoken at every one for 31 years. They wanted to stop this. They ended DEI. But just because they ended DEI, we will not DIE. We are indebted to these sisters because they reconnect us. You are strong not by your branches. You are strong by your roots. And the reason that this will survive is the roots that they have brought us from the motherland tell us that we're stronger than the waters that we had to pass over. And if we go back to the roots, we can take the waves and the storms of the ocean. Because God brought us here to save the human race. And that's why we're here. God bless Baku. Bless you, sister. Bless Reverend Jasmine Crockett. And all of you that are here tonight. Hey, what's up? They got, they're doing, thank you. They're doing, what's on your mind? Yeah. All right, then, you got a birthday this week. I got to talk about that.
Oh, no.
Happy birthday this weekend. And Carrie White's birthday, right?
Corey's birthday's today.
Yeah, and I got, tell, Reverend Bird, you ready? Daniel 5th chapter, I want him to read. And, I'm ready. Got a message from today, so we'll be on the air in what, half hour?
About a half hour.
You should tune in to the WBLS 107.5 FM and National Impact and www.nationalnetwork.net. All right, I'm ready. Make sure you operate on time or I'll tell them how old you are. Oh, do I seem excited? I am excited because this Saturday, the National Action Network Saturday Action Rally starts live on WBLS 107.5 FM in New York. We're going to expand. Every Saturday morning, we're live on WBLS 107.5 from 10 a.m. to 11. You'll hear the message. You'll feel the energy. You'll be involved. You won't be sitting around talking about, oh my God, look at what's happening. You'll be involved in dealing with what's happening. I'm excited, and you should be excited too. Turn on WBLS 10 a.m. every Saturday morning. I have a message for you, and if you want to, you can come to the House of Justice and be there live, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue. We kick off at 9, and we don't stop until we deal with getting our people energized.
So who is Al Sharpton anyway? Who is this 33-year-old preacher without a church?
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, the two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born. I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you know, you very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They call me everything but a child of God.
A blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
and I had to learn.
Yeah, right.
I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing and I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or social justice, none of this stuff, but don't live your life worried about opposition or people that don't like you. You can turn that around. use me as an example. The same people that called me a scam artist, a con artist, a sellout, or racial hustler and all, I kept going. And the people I respected started respecting and publicly embracing my work.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
The other thing that hasn't changed is the National Action Network's commitment to fight injustice and inequality here in New York City and across America. And that's not only a testament to Reverend Sharpton, it's a testament to all of you who are here tonight.
First and foremost, to Reverend Sharpton. I saw him when he first came on the scene, and I have marveled at his tenacity, at the development of his intellect, and his devotion to our movement, and much he has contributed to the world we are experiencing. I am honored, and I must say that when I had my debate with Dr. King on the issue of the church and religion, he didn't warn me that after his departure, his space would be filled by another preacher, and that preacher would be Al Sharpton.
All you want in life is people that matter to you to say you did all right. And more important, that you can look in the mirror and say you did all right.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice of truth, a voice of conscience, a voice of practicality around what we must address and what we can do. And I thank you so much for your friendship.
I remember that most of the youth around Al's age, he was about 12, wanted to be like Connie Hawkins, a great basketball player, legend. Earl the Pearl, Clive Frazier.
I'm your
host,
host,
like Adam Powell.
Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. And of course, you can go on the message board at nationalactionnetwork.net, go to live stream and hit the message board. Let me say by way of announcements, don't forget this Saturday and Sunday, watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton. We'll be live at 5 p.m. both Saturday and Sunday. I'm certainly going to deal with the gun violence and the disproportionate amount that it hits the black community. I'm going to have some experts on. I'm also going to have on some of the senators and governors. I'm also going to deal with the redistricting that is happening in Louisiana that is threatening to take out Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. Very important. It's down to the wire, and we'll have that congressman on. And I'm going to have Andrew Cuomo on. I had the leading candidate, Zoran Danny, on last Sunday. So I'm going to have one of his opponents this Sunday and give everybody a chance. And I'm going to ask everybody the questions that needs to be asked. So make sure you don't miss either day, Saturday or Sunday. Saturday morning, I will be at the House of Justice in Harlem, looking for you at the House of Justice, you that are in the tri-state area, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. for the Saturday Action Rally. And, of course, you that are not in the New York area, you can watch it live on Impact Television, or you can watch it on www.nationalactionnetwork.net live stream. And so Saturday morning rally, I'll be there Saturday. I'll be doing Politics Nation at 5 from New York. Then I'm flying to Houston, Texas, where I'll be preaching on Sunday morning there in Houston at Lily Grove Baptist Church. And one of our board members there is the pastor, and I'm certainly excited. I go there every year, and I'll do my Politics Nation 5 o'clock Eastern time from Houston, Texas, as I keep my commitment to Reverend Terry Anderson, and then right back to New York Sunday night. All right, let's go to the phones. Let's take some calls. Let's go to Tony. Let's start with Tony in Atlanta, Georgia. Tony, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Greetings, Reverend Al. It's so good to be able to get on. Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you for calling.
The reason I called was I was so saddened about that young man's death. And you're right. It doesn't matter if you're famous or celebrity or just an everyday person. No one should have to be traumatized or fearful of their life because of this out of control lack of gun control measures. A couple of years ago, I was watching the Prime Minister of Australia. They had a mass shooting for the first time, I think, in their history or in decades. This Prime Minister swiftly declared a ban on assault rifles and stricter gun controls. I was so proud of her because that country did not wait to have the vigil and say, we're going to pray for the family. That country immediately, swiftly put an end to what they thought was a problem. Our president, who wants to be nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize, I would have been standing in line championing that if two things. If he as president and he feels that he can do anything, he should be able to say, we are not going to continue to have disparate laws regarding gun control. There will be background checks. There will be days waiting. You can't go to a gun show and purchase a gun and walk out the same day or with ammunition. I would have been in line. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, I'm listening.
I was going to say I would stand in line and be a proponent for him to have gotten the Nobel Peace Prize if he had been able to, before he took office, talk to Putin, regardless who was in office. If you can stop this war, or you say you could have stopped this war on day one, I would have been impressed if you had done that. But no, since you have been in office, it has been escalation after escalation after escalation. So why would he be considered for the Nobel Peace Prize when he has done nothing? None of his promises have come to fruition. And it's just, you have this power. Do it. You have immunity. Do it. Just say it's not going to happen. And since you can't run for office again, why would you worry about the gun lobbyists? That's all I had to say, bro.
All right. I appreciate your call. Very interesting. I think that last point you made, Tony, since you do not have to run for office again, because despite what he says, I do not believe he's going to be able to finagle, change the Constitution to have a third term. Since you're not going to run again, why don't you change the gun laws? Since you yourself, Mr. Trump, has been shot. Unless that's just really who you are. Carrie in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Carrie, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Good morning, Reverend Sharpton.
Good morning.
My name is Terry, not Carrie.
Oh, Terry. Terry, okay.
Terry, yes. It's always an honor to speak with you.
Thank you.
Thank you for what you have done. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for the things that you're going to do in the future.
Thank you.
God bless you. I just want to express how I felt 24 years ago when we were attacked and the World Trade Center was attacked and all the chaos that we had in our country. I was at work at the time when I got the news. And, it was a scary feeling to have our country attacked. And, you know, we all nationalities were employed where I worked at. And I had never seen this country come together the way that they did. Nationalities didn't make a difference. We all were united for just a little while. And as time went on, that eroded back to the hatred that some people project in this here country. And I just wanted to just express the way I felt at that time. You know, it was a time that I had never felt, and I'm sure it's a time that many people have never felt in regards to togetherness in this country. Thank you.
Thank you for your call. I recall that very well. I think you are right that there was a sense of unity and a sense of all of us against everybody in the world that's against us. I remember political enemies in New York. We were all having prayer vigils together. But what happened? Not long after that. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
So who is Al Sharpton anyway? Who is this 33-year-old preacher without a church?
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, the two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born. I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you know, you very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They call me everything but a child of God.
A blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
I had to learn.
Yeah, right.
I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing and I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or social justice, none of this stuff, but don't live your life worried about opposition or people that don't like you. You can turn that around. Use me as an example. The same people that call me a scam artist, a con artist, a sellout, or racial hustling, I kept going. And the people I respected started respecting and publicly embracing my work.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
The other thing that hasn't changed is the National Action Network's commitment to fight injustice and inequality here in New York City and across America. And that's not only a testament to Reverend Sharpton, it's a testament to all of you who are here tonight.
First and foremost, to Reverend Sharpton. I saw him when he first came on the scene, and I have marveled at his tenacity, at the development of his intellect, and his devotion to our movement, and much he has contributed to the world we are experiencing. I am honored, and I must say that when I had my debate with Dr. King on the issue of the church and religion, He didn't warn me that after his departure, his space would be filled by another preacher, and that preacher would be Al Sharpton.
All you want in life is people that matter to you to say you did all right. And more important, that you can look in the mirror and say you did all right.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice of truth, a voice of conscience, a voice of practicality around what we must address and what we can do. And I thank you so much for your friendship.
I remember that most of the youth around Al's age, he was about 12, wanted to be like Connie Hawkins, a great basketball player, legend, or Earl the Pearl, or Clyde Frazier. Al wanted to be like Adam Powell, a powerful preacher with a social justice gospel. He was very close to, at that time, to Reverend William Augustus Jones, powerful preacher and social justice advocate, and Reverend Gardner Taylor State right down the street, and Bishop Washington, whose church he came from, and Reverend Sandy Ray. He wanted to be like these giant preachers. He wanted them to have the edge, however, of the King's social justice dimension. He wanted to be like them, now he's one of them. Perhaps taller than most of them because of the risks he has taken and the reward God has given him with his gift. I remember so well that I first escorted him to jail. He was around 13 years old, with the jail fighting the ANP. He was in the lineage of our struggle. He grew up in it. We didn't just see him on TV one night. He didn't happen. He came bottom up, not top down.
I want to ask you a question, and that is, what is in your life's blueprint? This is the most important and crucial period of your lives, for what you do now and what you decide now at this age may well determine which way your life shall go. And whenever a building is constructed, you usually have an architect who draws a blueprint. And that blueprint serves as the pattern, as the guide, as the model for those who are to build the building. And a building is not well erected without a good, sound, and solid blueprint. Now each of you is in the process of building the structure of your lives. And the question is whether you have a proper, a solid, and a sound blueprint. And I want to suggest some of the things that should be in your life's blueprint. Number one in your life's blueprint should be
your host, Reverend Sharpton. We're talking about the 24th anniversary today of 9/11, how we all died together in that building here in the Pentagon, and yet 24 years later still are not living together. We were all one nation for a few hours. What do we need to do about the violence? And then what happened yesterday to Charlie Kirk, which is absolutely wrong. I put out a statement right away. I didn't agree with Kirk on anything, just about. But we cannot have political violence. His life was as precious as anybody else. His children growing up without a father is inexcusable. And now threats are on all sides. They've increased my security. They've had to do lockdowns at several black colleges, HBCUs. Hampton is one of them where my younger daughter went. So we're talking about violence, what we need to do about violence. I'm going to step out and do some for 3 segments. So I've asked my oldest daughter, Dominique, who really is my pinch hitter anyway on the show, to sit in and take your calls and read your messages on the message board. 1-877-532-5797 or nationalactionnetwork.net. Dominique, you're in charge. I'll be back in 3 segments, and you got a whole board full of calls. All right.
All right, thank you, Rev, and certainly good afternoon to everyone who is holding on, who's listening, who's thinking about calling in. We got a lot to talk about, and certainly, it's moments like these where Reverend Sharpton mentioned the importance of unity. And when we think about 24 years to the day where that tragedy happened in New York City. I remember I was in high school, I was in school. And Jalen here is laughing at me here in the studio. But yeah, I remember that tragic day where so many of us were crippled to our knees, didn't know what was going on, didn't know where some of our loved ones were, our friends trying to console them as they tried to reach out to their parents and their loved ones to make sure everything was okay. And then having to really grapple with the ongoing travesty that happened, that trickled after that day. As many of you know the story, my father talked about it even on this broadcast earlier today, how a young man who went to church with my sister and I, very close to us, started looking for his mother. His mother worked in the second tower, Elizabeth Holmes, and we remember just the countless days after the actual incident and really trying to figure out where we go, what do we do, how do we look for this young man's mother if we ever were going to actually find out what happened to her. And still to this day, we still do not know exactly what happened. We just know that she unfortunately is no longer with us. And there are so many who, tragically endured the same fate. And so as we are sitting here now discussing the pain, discussing the travesty and how tragedies certainly cripple us, and certainly we feel the pain, we need to really also talk about, as we are coming together in this united moment, whether it's pain that brings us together. We saw how we came together in 2020 when we were crippled in our homes and confined during a pandemic, and heard the news that George Floyd was murdered, how the country was crippled to its knees on what do we do to stand up, what do we do to come together. And so here we are again in another moment where tragedy has faced us, and we are crippled to our knees in pain, and in finding and figuring out what decisions we make, what actions do we take, how do we console one another, how do we continue to be there for one another, but also move through to action, and knowing that there are issues that we are facing and we are dealing with, and knowing that we may have opposing views, or we may sit at different sides of the table, or we may come from different environments or different ethnicities or different religions or different backgrounds. But at the end of the day, we're all here, and we all deserve the right to live in a nation or live in an environment where we feel safe, where our families are safe, where we feel the safety for our children, and we're able to thrive and work together in some capacity. And so we're not going to get everything right in terms of how we come together and respect each other, each other's opinions, each other's morals, each other's viewpoints. And we may have disagreements, but at the end of the day, I think that the unity that we need to have is what is important to think about, to talk about, and how we can continue to create these pathways where we can come together and discuss our differences, but really put tangible solutions on the table and rise above the fray. We're taking your calls across the country. You can join in on today's conversation by calling us at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. See somebody on the message board saying, don't forget to shout us out on the message board. So yes, I see y'all. Good afternoon to all of you. And good afternoon. Yes, I see you, Mayor Rodney Jones. I see you, Happiness Donuts. What a very interesting screen name you have there. But yeah, we are keeping it real. And in these moments where we are seeing so many things happening around us, like I said, 24 days today, the tragedy in 9/11. And there are going to be many moments of memorial, of reflection, of us standing up and really calling out and respect those who have gone and lost their lives to tragedy. But we have to be intentional in how we are dealing with and combating violence. Violence is not the way to reform anything. Violence is leading to destruction. Violence leads to families being destroyed and children growing up without their parents. And we need to really deal with how we are combating violence and how we can really look forward to brighter days where we can really reflect and understand that with our purpose and with our thoughts and beliefs, we've got to put action behind policy. We've got to put action behind reform. We've got to put action behind the resources that are available in terms of how we really deal with change. Let's go back to the phones. Amina's holding on from Atlanta on line 2. Amina, let's get you in before we got to go to the break. You're keeping it real. Good afternoon, Amina.
Good afternoon. This is Wale. How are you, Dominique?
Oh, Wale, I'm so sorry there. Good afternoon.
It's okay. No, you good. You good, my darling. I know we got to go to break soon. Maybe you can hold me over so I can make my point. But sister, this is 9/11. I'm looking at the photograph of Obama at May 5th, 2011. He was standing next to a New York City Police Department sergeant. Her name was Stephanie Moses. She didn't die in the towers. She committed suicide. May 2012, I believe it was, when she died. And the picture they have of her, she was a little thing, and I'm gonna try to show you the picture on Saturday when I come to the. I'll show you the picture, but you can Google it. She was a little thing, and she committed suicide. She was an officer. She was a sergeant. So I wanted to just shout that out. The main thing I call for too is we can't forget Anthonyia Johnson. Anthonyia died, Dominique. She was the young girl. No, this is not 9/11 information. This is what happened up in that park up in the Bronx. The police trying to say, oh, this gang related. Well, was she in a gang? You know, they just toss us, well, it's gang related. So does that mean she don't matter? Her name was Anthonyia Johnson. The bullet hit her in the back of her head, lodged in her eye.
That's right. Say her name.
Apparently her parents took her off of life support yesterday. I just wanted to say her name, Anthonyia Johnson, and we cannot sit back and put other things are dominating over our children being slaughtered in these streets. Your father and your program, Nan, are the only ones that talk about this stuff. We got to make this thing a priority. These children having these birthday parties in these parks, there's no, they don't get what you call them to permits to close these parks so they can have police presence. The mother said there was no police presence at that basketball game at Hoffman Park in the Bronx. And that poor child died with a bullet lodged behind her eye. And we cannot just forget. Her name is Anthonyia Johnson. Thank you,
Antonia
Dominique.
Johnson, and also Lloyd Morgan and so many other children that we've had to unfortunately see this happen. We've got to do better, and we've got to do better now. Thank you for your call. Dominique Sharpton sitting in for the Rev, taking your calls across the country. Join in on the conversation today. Call us at 1-877-532-5797 or join us on the message board. But we'll be back with more of Keeping It Real with Sharpton. We'll be right back.
Mrs. Sharpton.
So we just wanted to greet you all and thank you for allowing us in. Yes, sir. We were cool. Yeah, we was here.
They were on the plantation.
Our family was on the plantation. Wow. And that's, of course, that's the slave house. That's one of the slave houses.
Sir, it's been 13 years.
That's right.
Good to
How
see
you been?
Doing fine.
Last time, and we
Alexander Shelton. How many slaves were staying here?
I have no idea.
This is where they would have a slave.
Yeah, that's when exactly. That was exactly.
The two people that most influenced my life were from South Carolina, James and Jesse. Jesse right up the road with me. I went over his mother's funeral. Jesse walked me to my mother's casket.
Wow.
To South Carolina. That's the balance of my life, James.
Yeah.
Civil rights, shoulders.
But also where your people come too.
Literally.
Yeah, right.
And when I knew Jesse was from James, I started president.
Yeah.
And James had died before I knew about him in South Carolina.
Oh, really?
Yeah. James died December 25th. He died Christmas Day, 06. And they came to do the story for February of 07. They came in January. His daughter swear that was his daddy and having pushed the information out.
Wow.
And I called Jesse and told me, you know, that my great-grandfather was a slave about 45, because Greenville right up to I-20. He said, I told you we was connected. That's why you got to listen to me. But no. I would argue that DEI is a result of those that by law and later by enforcement would not deal with diversity, would not deal with including people of color, gender, sexual orientation, as well as disabled. And the conscious effort by government and the private sector to begin to equalize the opportunities of this country was something that makes it more humane and fair for all of us. To DEI diversify. It's not based on the lack of merit. We could not show our merit because we were excluded. pompous conservatives that talk about we want a society based on merit. Well then, if it's based on merit, then why did you discriminate based on race and gender? Until they cut off much of the population and then had merit between white males. That was what they meant, not merit. Let's have real merit, but let's also make up the ground that those of us with merit was not able to compete. Telling yourself you're not confident of what you could do. When people with half your skills and a quarter of your talent have gone on to create big waves in life, if you look at them and you know you're more gifted than them, then what is your problem? You are looking for someone to come and drag you into success. You've got to use what you have, which is, in my judgment, more skillful than others I've known in your area. Use that and believe in that, and your confidence will build up as you get going and start doing. And don't chase the spotlight. Sharpen your skills. Live in your purpose. And you'll get so good the spotlight will be chasing you. Be so good they can't help but talk about you and put the spotlight on you. You don't get your energy from chasing the spotlight. You get your energy by chasing your purpose. The spotlight and other adulation will come with it. Have a great day.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you very much. Let me thank Charlie King, Dr. Richardson. Most of all, let me thank Reverend Al Sharpton for bringing us all here together today. In the Urban Action Network, I am proud to be a candidate for the presidency of the United States of America. But I am mindful that I wouldn't be here if it had not been for Reverend Al Sharpton running for president, and Carol Moseley Brown running for president, and Jesse Jackson running for president, and Shirley Chisholm running for president. They paved the way, and I stand on their shoulders. And I'm proud to acknowledge that debt that I owe. I appreciate Reverend Sharpton for being a voice for the voiceless and a champion for the dispossessed. And as we saw last week, he's still on the front lines, fighting a good fight. And we are thankful for his energy and his willingness to challenge the conventional wisdom. I'm also thankful that Reverend Sharpton has built this organization because what he understands is that change in America doesn't happen from the top down. Change happens from the bottom up. Change happens when millions of voices set the agenda and hold those in power accountable. Come on.
a lot of our ministry to entertainment. Or who can hoop the loudest, who can run around the pulpit more, or who got the dresses fancy, and don't deal with the ministry. Jesus healed more people than he preached to. Because there is in the healing your message. They followed Jesus because he healed a woman with the issue of blood. They followed Jesus because Jesus saw a blind man named Bartimaeus. A lot of us would have dismissed him because he was a broke, poor, homeless, a blind man. How you know he was broke, Reverend? Because they say he was begging. But he understood what he was doing.
Keeping it real. I'm Dominique Sharpton, Reverend Sharpton's eldest daughter, sitting in for the Reverend, taking your calls across the country today on Keeping It Real. You can join in on the conversation by calling us at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, or you can join our illustrious message board for those of you watching us via live stream, listening to us via live stream at www.nationalactionnetwork.net. We got a lot to talk about today, and certainly as we are continuing the discussion, a lot going on. We're seeing war and rumors of wars happening all around us. What are we going to do about Ukraine and about how we are dealing with receiving the information that we are hearing and dealing with, how we're dealing with violence in our own backyard, how we are dealing with seeing tragedies that move us, certainly in the tragedy that happened on yesterday, and we're talking about it and talking about so many other things. But what we're going to do in this moment, it's time to come together, and it's time to put that unity into an action plan. Let's go back to the phones, and let's go back to the message board. On the phone we have holding on is Amina from Atlanta, holding on line 3. Amina, are you there? If so, you're keeping it real.
Yes. Good afternoon, Dominique.
Good afternoon. I'm glad you're there.
I have been holding on, and I'm glad I got through today. I usually do not call, but I had to call in today. I'm always listening to your father on this program. I'm also a person who is really your father's age. I've been in the realm of I've been a voter for all these years, a registered voter, and have always, done my civic duty. But what I remember about that horrible tragedy years ago, 20 years ago, was horrendous. The horrendous feeling that I had seeing that tragedy play out on TV. I remember, first of all, I'm a proud practicing Muslim. I've been this year. I just turned 69.
All right,
and I'm grateful. I'm grateful. But what I want to say is that America was founded on violence. And this is what they have to realize, that this white supremacist violence cannot continue throughout this country. It hurts, it destroys, it divides, and it traumatizes people. We are one people. We have to understand that just because they want to push this idea of, we're a Christian nation. It was founded on this. There's a right to the practice of your religion, your freedom of speech, and your basic human rights are in this country. But what America has to understand is that they cannot continue to destroy people and divide people and commit violence on people and not be affected by it. This has to stop. We have to stop. The lies, the propaganda have to stop.
Yes.
There's always been targeting of African Americans. We always were the target. All these Black Wall Streets that were burned down, flooded out, and destroyed. This is the legacy. So they have to stop trying to marginalize people and force their white supremacist violence on everybody else. It cannot win. Look at what it's doing. It's destroying everybody. I love this country. But we have to deal with the violence and the corruption that has plagued America for a long time. Look at what it's doing. It's destroying everything. It's destroying the economy. We have to stop it. And that's what I wanted to say.
That's right. Thank you so much for your call. No, I agree with you. And even so, as I was listening to you, I was reading up on the case in the incident in Chicago of Romika Meeks, who apparently was shot, after dropping her son off at school on Monday. And it's just, it just speaks to what you were saying about violence and how we really have to do something not only about it, but we really need to change the conversation, what we're bringing to the table, how we are discussing not only conflict resolution, if we're talking about it on a global level, with war and the ramifications that happen with that, and we are sitting here even on the 24th anniversary of the tragedy of 9/11, or if we're talking about, violence that we are seeing in our own communities, because it's happening everywhere around us. And like you said, it is devastating. It is tragic. It's destroying communities. It's destroying families. And we really have to look it in the face and do something, and not just talk about it, but what can we do about it? Because this, it just keeps happening. And so
I wanted to say this, Dominique, right, and then I'll end. There were 12 people who were Muslim that were killed in 9/11, and to this day the media still suppresses that.
Yes.
And all of the Islamophobia that followed that tragedy, targeting Muslims, they're the terrorists and all of that. Yes. That was devastating. It needs to stop. The 9/11 Commission itself, they came out and said that this whole thing was a lie. It was imploded from the inside. And they still have not brought that forward. Mainstream media still lies to this day about it.
Yes.
So we have to stop censoring real news, because the real news does not get reported. All we get is propaganda. Yeah. Propaganda and lies. And that has to stop as well. It has to. We can't continue like this. We cannot. As a nation, we are supposed to be a democracy that is a republic, really, but we need to deal with our internal hatred for certain peoples when everything is not changing because of it. The lies have to stop. The propaganda, the police violence against our people has to stop. Everything that is violent has to stop, because we are falling. We are being destroyed from the inside. Thank you for my...
Thank you so much for your call, Amina. I love the passion And I definitely, I agree that we've got to do something, and we've got to be as fired up as you are to really make that change happen as we come together. As I said earlier, I really do believe there's power in unity. I do believe in power of the discussion, coming together from all sides, talking about how we can really build a stronger, more powerful, united nation by really dealing with the issues and respecting each other for our views. Like, again, we don't have to agree with everyone, with what everyone says, but I do believe in humanity. I do believe in that we all have a right to live, to be here, to voice our opinions, to speak out, to stand strong. And we believe that, we can move forward. So I agree with you there. Violence has got to stop. We've got to do something about the violence, whether we're talking about Chicago. I mean, this woman was dropping her son off at school and was shot in the face. I mean, where is the humanity in our nation? Where's the humanity amongst our people and our communities? We've got to do better. We've got to do more. And we've got to raise the volume in terms of how we can really seek those solutions that is going to make things really change. That's what I need to say there. Thank you, Amina. Demetrius, I'm coming to you. I think we're going to be going to a break soon. I want to read.
Yeah, let's go to break.
Okay, I want to read some things on the message board. Y'all are in here talking about things, and I think that it's important to aid to the conversation. But I also feel like, we've got to be respectful of everyone, and we have to be respectful of our views. So we don't want to read or things that people are literally contributing to the demise of our people, contributing to the discord, and contributing to us continuing to spew violence. That's not the way I think that we should approach these conversations. And I got to keep it real with y'all. But we're going to take a break. Dominique Sharpton, I'm sitting in for the Rev. We'll be joined momentarily by Sister Jennifer Jones Austin. But we're taking your calls across the country. You can join in on the conversation today. Call us at 1-877-532-5797. And we'll be back with more of Keeping It Real with Sharpton. We'll be right back.
No justice, no justice, no justice. What do we want? What do we want?
We are the sons and the daughters. We gotta stand up and make it loud. Just like our God told the Pharaoh, let my people go. We are a new generation from the ones who have come before. He's calling us into freedom. Let my people go. We never shy, never shake. Give me a papa go rain, make the heavens. If you don't say you know what trouble, let my people go. The blood, sweat, and the tears that we gathered through the years. If you don't say you know what trouble, let my people go. Wade in the water, we did wade in the water.
I had a thought this morning that I want to share with you about mentorship. I am able to do a lot of what I do because I had great mentors, but there are correct ways and incorrect ways to mentor people, in my opinion. I was mentored as a boy preacher by Bishop F.D. Washington, one of the great Pentecostal preachers of his time. Then Reverend William Jones, who became my pastor after Bishop Washington died, who was unquestionably in the top 5 black church ministers, theologians. Reverend Jesse Jackson, who I started my activism under his leadership, he and Reverend Jones. And I learned politics directly as a youth director from Shirley Chisholm. So even though I didn't finish college, I had the most unique education in the world from being exposed to giants. But the one thing I learned is as I grew older and people started coming younger than me and wanted me to teach and mentor them, the magic of the mentors I had is they did not want me to be their clone. They wanted me to learn things from them and use my own gifts and talents in my own unique way and let me do things on my own, because they knew that if I flopped in some things, it would teach me for the other things. They'll come and help me once I was down, but they were not going to have me avoid being down. And they were not going to impose themselves on me. Why am I saying that? Because too many mentors want clones, and too many mentees want their mentors to put them on a pedestal. Oh, so-and-so didn't do this for me. Oh, so-and-so didn't open doors for me. If they got to open doors for you, it may mean that they knew you weren't ready to go through those doors. Their job is to prepare you. Your job is to develop your own skills, your own unique ways. And I don't care if it's my daughters, who both have come into their own, or anyone else. I'm not a talent agent. I did not form National Action Network to give people their step up. I formed it to fight for justice for everybody. If talented people get in, it's my job to invest and give them a platform. It's their job to get on the platform and perform and show their ability. Sitting with me today in the office as I talk about it is one of my mentees, Reverend Stephen Marshall. Now, Stephen, you just came around us when you were how old?
11 years old.
11 years old. You just turned 40 and now you're called to the ministry?
Yes, sir.
And what do you do in National Action Network?
I help formulate policies, lead in various regions, but most importantly, I senior advisor to you on all things from social justice strategies, politics, intergovernmental affairs, you name it, community organizing, all of that stuff.
And I could go through scores of others. My daughter started Huddle. They got Huddles now, which is for young people to meet once a week all over the country. I just saw the video from the Las Vegas National Action Network chapter. Now, when you decided to preach, did I ever tell you to become a preacher?
Not one time.
Who called you to preach?
The Lord.
All right. And did I say go to this school or that school?
No, sir.
Did I open this door, that door? Did I tell you be ready when the doors open?
Always be ready and prepared.
And that's what I'm saying. Get you some young people than you that you can help along the way. But don't be their talent agent. Their talent must speak for themselves. And anybody that grumbles with you about so-and-so didn't do something for them, maybe it's because they didn't feel you were ready, or that they felt if they did it, you wouldn't do it on your own. But we all don't live forever. I want the next generation to speak of me, of National Action Network, and others, the way I speak of Reverend Jones and Bishop Washington and Shirley Chisholm and Reverend Jackson. But I just don't want young people to feel that somebody ought to give them the reins of leadership or give them the reins of business or whatever it is you're in. You need to learn from their journey, get the pearls of wisdom from them, but don't have them do for you, because then it means you can't do it for yourself.
Thing past hope. Because, I grew up, like I said, single mama on welfare. And my mother told me there's a part in life that hope's gonna run out. But she told me you got a double barrel in your engine. I said, what is that? She said, you can switch from hope to faith. Faith is a little deeper than hope. Bishop Hilliard is here. Faith is when hope runs out. Faith is the substance of things. Hope for the evidence of things not seen. Faith is when we were emancipated after 246 years of slavery and walked off the plantations with no education, no money, no future. And we built black churches and black colleges and black fraternities. We had faith. Faith made us stand up to the most powerful nation in the world and turn it around. Faith means we went from the back of the bus to the front of the White House. We come this far by faith, leaning on the Lord, trusting in His holy word. He never failed us yet.
For 90 days, they're going to do a study of what companies have pulled out of DI and what companies and what companies have a small margin of profit. And we in 90 days are going to announce the 2 companies that we're going after. And we're going to ask everybody in this country, black, white, brown, gay, straight, woman, trans, don't buy where you are not respected. Donald Trump can't make us buy your stuff. The Senate can't make us buy your stuff. In the name of Dr. King, we're going to do what Dr. King did. Trump tweeted the other week, I'm a con man, don't call me the coin man. I'm going to stop the coins from dropping in the wrong place.
Keeping it real. I'm Dominique Sharpton, Reverend Sharpton's daughter, sitting in for the Rev, taking your calls. We're keeping it real and want you to join in on the conversation. You can call us today, 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, or you can join us via live stream as we've got our message board family live and in the house as well. We will be joined momentarily. We waiting for the indication that Sister Jennifer Jones Austin
we have her.
Oh, she's with us. Good afternoon. Well, Sister Jennifer has joined us. Good afternoon, Sister Jennifer.
Hello. Good to hear your voice. Good to be with you.
Same. I've been seeing you all over the place. You've been moving and shaking as we know you to do, really being a voice. So thank you for your work, your diligence. We know we've been seeing you out there on the front lines. So, Sister Jennifer, I know you got a lot of updates for us. And we've got a lot of callers and also a lot of people that are tuning in. We've got a lot to talk about. And certainly in this moment, we are celebrating or signifying, of course, the 24th anniversary of the tragedy of 9/11. And all that it, of course, means to us. And, in this climate, we're seeing a lot of violence happening, Sister Jennifer, from what happened, yesterday with Charlie Kirk to what we are seeing in Chicago, the young woman taking her son to school, being shot in the face. Violence is erupting everywhere. We're seeing wars and dealing with violence on a global forum. And so, the question has become, what are we going to do about that in this phase, in this moment? We got a lot of policy we're dealing with. We got, we're dealing with inflation on the rise, with these tariffs that the President Trump is now, bestowing on us. So there's a lot going on. First, we want to hear from you. Give us some updates. What have you been up to, and what you feel in terms of, we're pointing a lot of fingers, right? So it's like Democrats versus Republicans, and people are really speaking out in terms of, their disdain or discomfort or unapproval with, the Democrat strategy. People see a lack of strategy, a lack of an action plan as to how we are combating a lot of these things that we're dealing with. Do you see a path forward? And tell us and share some insight for how we can look forward to this.
You put your finger on it, and then I want to say, and all of it. It's just every time you turn around, there's one issue, there's one new occurrence, there's one new tragedy, and it's like it's kind of like to keep from losing your sanity. It's almost like you want to stay away from the news, but you can't stay away from the news because you've got to stay informed. You've got to be a part. You've got to be engaged, and so it's kind of like, what do you do? And what I find people asking a lot these days is, well, what can I do? I don't have a lot of power. I don't have a lot of influence. I don't have a platform. What can I do? And you just feel that people sense there's like a feeling of hopelessness. Crime and violence are on the rise, and it's here, there, and everywhere. Hate and hateful speech is like a common occurrence. I mean, we can't forget, nobody should be killed. Violence is not the way. I mean, I firmly believe violence is not the way, but words matter. And, I posted earlier today, remember that old childhood adage, it's like, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words, shall never harm me. It's like, no, words harm. Words hurt. Words matter. And, you can't expect that people are just going to, sit back and be tormented with hateful speech and not respond. I'm not saying that that's what should be done, but you can't expect that that's not that's not going to happen. And so for me, I think in this moment, what I have to keep centering on is, what can we each do? What can we do as individuals? What can we do collectively? We can't individually fight every fight, meaning we can't be here, there, and everywhere, every individual, but we can do our part. I think a lot of it begins with, what are you teaching in your home? How are you educating your children and your family? Doing the critical thinking, like, what is truth, what is not? Asking yourself, what does it mean to be a kind and humble and giving and considerate, compassionate, integrous, purpose person in this moment? How do you not spread hate? How do you not judge? Yes. How do you not find, fault with people because of their race, because of their religion, their ethnicity, who they love? I think that's where people really need to begin. Of course, we got to get out there and vote, and we got to make our opinions known to those elected officials, those who want to be in office. We've got to do that. But it really does fundamentally begin with how we're showing up as individuals with other people. How do we view other people with whom we engage?
Yes.
Just because you are of a different race, religion, nationality, do I see you as different, as less than? And then let me just say one more thing. What I'm struggling with right now is violence comes in many forms, right? There's physical violence, there's mental violence, there's emotional violence. There is violence that's played out every day in America. The big, ugly bill was violent. That was abusive. That will result in the deaths of many when they lose Medicaid, when they lose the ability to eat healthy foods because they've lost their SNAP benefits. So violence is occurring in many different ways, and we can't just be upset when it's because of guns. We need to be upset because it's guns, but we also need to be upset when they're taking away the things that people need to actually survive. It's not right. Kids are dying in school every day, not just from guns. They're dying from the undereducation. $23 billion less in funding for black schools, public schools, than white affluent schools. Kids are dying every day. Slow deaths. Nobody's outraged about that.
Right.
I'm sorry. That was a rant. That was a tear.
Jennifer Jones-Austin, keeping it real, y'all. Before we go to break, I know that we're going to be hearing that. And thank you, Leslie Jennings, on the message board for your comment saying, may the souls of the faithful departed through the mercy of God rest in peace. Amen. We certainly want to acknowledge those that, we lost in the tragedy of 9/11. We want to acknowledge those that, that we lost. Sister mentioned earlier, due to any senseless violence, whether it be gun violence, as Sister Jennifer Jones stated, other forms of violence in the physical and the emotional state. We want to acknowledge you as well. But in this moment, we need to come together. We need to unify, and we need to really strengthen our messaging in terms of our plan and course of action to move forward. We're all looking for direction. I think we're all looking for guidance, and we're all looking for identifying with ourselves. Sister Jennifer Jones Austin pointed out, identifying with ourselves what we can do, what we will do, what we will commit to doing, to really look at ourselves and say, hey, how can I contribute to positive change? But we're going to take a break. It's Dominique Sharpton. I'm sitting in with Sister Jennifer Jones Austin. We're taking your calls on Keeping It Real. You can join in on the conversation. Call us at 1-877-532-5797 or join our message board at www.nationalactionnetwork.net. We'll be right back with more of Keeping It Real with Sharpton. We'll be right back.
Come on, keep it real.
A lot of our ministry to entertainment. Or who can hoop the loudest? Who can run around the pulpit more? Or who got the dresses fancy and don't deal with the ministry? Jesus healed more people than he preached to. Because there is in the healing your message. They followed Jesus because he healed a woman with the issue of blood. They followed Jesus because Jesus saw a blind man named Bartimaeus. A lot of us would have dismissed him because he was a broke, poor, homeless, a blind man. How you know he was broke, Reverend? Because they say he was begging. But he understood what he was doing because he heard that Jesus was passing by. And when Jesus got close enough, he said, Jesus, son of David, come see about me. They kept telling Jesus, let's go, look, we got a schedule, we got people to see. He said it again, Jesus, son of David, come see about me. And when he did it the third time, Jesus stopped and went and healed the blind man. Now, what I get out of that scripture, Bishop Daughtry, is that the blind man told Jesus, if you are who you say you are, you're going to stop and see me. Yes, sir. And if you stop and see me, you will confirm who you are. Yeah. But when we are pastoring and leading in communities with bad health, we cannot be the followers and representatives of Jesus and walk by people that are sick and we not be part of making them well.
Encourage us because where we are, we need guidance, we need direction. Reverend Sharpton, if you could please guide us and say a few words, because we just must, there's no way you're interrupting us.
is so special to all of us. And what has happened this week, let me tell you, Baku and Rich Dennis and the rest will not tell you, against all obstacles, they said we're going to make this happen. I was here 31 years ago when Essence Music Festival started. I've spoken at every one for 31 years. They wanted to stop this. They ended DEI. But just because they ended DEI, we will not DIE. We are indebted to these sisters because they reconnect us. You are strong not by your branches. You are strong by your roots. And the reason that this will survive is the roots that they have brought us from the motherland. Tell us that we're stronger than the waters that we had to pass over. And if we go back to the roots, we can take the waves and the storms of the ocean. Because God brought us here to save the human race. And that's why we're here. God bless Baku. Bless you, sister. Bless Reverend Jasmine Crockett and all of you that are here tonight.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you very much. Let me thank Charlie King, Dr. Richardson. Most of all, let me thank Reverend Al Sharpton for bringing us all here together today. The Urban Action Network. I am proud to be a candidate for the presidency of the United States of America. But I am mindful that I wouldn't be here if it had not been for Reverend Al Sharpton running for president, and Carol Moseley Brown running for president, and Jesse Jackson running for president, and Shirley Chisholm running for president. They paved the way, and I stand on their shoulders. And I'm proud to acknowledge that debt that I owe. I appreciate Reverend Sharpton for being a voice for the voiceless and a champion for the dispossessed. And as we saw last week, he's still on the front lines, fighting a good fight. And we are thankful for his energy and his willingness to challenge the conventional wisdom. I'm also thankful that Reverend Sharpton has built this organization because what he understands is that change in America doesn't happen from the top down. Change happens from the bottom up. Change happens when millions of voices set the agenda and hold those in power accountable.
I'm Dominique Sharpton sitting in for the Rev with Sister Jennifer Jones Austin. We're taking your calls. You can join us today. Call us at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. We're keeping it real, y'all. Sister Jennifer, let's go back to the phones. We've got a lot of folks holding on, and I want them to chime in on the conversation. I see Mrs. Richardson holding on, my friend, listening to us from Chevy Chase. Mrs. Richardson, you're keeping it real. Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon, Dominique, and to Jenny.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Yeah, you know, so much is violence, and 9/11, yeah. I was making coffee that day, and my husband was sitting there reading the magazine, And we had our little small television in the, kitchen there with us. We have a pretty big kitchen. We have a house in Chevy Chase, Maryland. House is about, oh my God, it's a pretty up in age house, but we were able to, rent it, and then we switched to having a mortgage on it from the, preceding people that owned it. But anyway, yeah, we were in the kitchen listening, and then we saw on the television, the telly that we had in the kitchen, this man or woman, I think it was a man that jumped from that top floor. He must have been burning up from the flames or something, but there was people jumping out of that building. And I said, oh my, yeah, it was terrifying. And I know you ladies must have thought that was just very, very upsetting, because you wouldn't want to look at it. I turned my head. I said, is that what's going on, David? And David said, yes, that's truly going on. But, there's a lot of our people in this extreme left wing. And I think you and Jenny will understand what I'm saying, without me being prejudiced against either party. Because we say the extreme right is messing up everything, but we do have an extreme left that I don't think serves the Democratic Party. This is my opinion, Mrs. Richardson's opinion, because you have a lot of these terribly liberal, all out way liberal, that's for the gang rap music. When you cut on FM, I used to hear beautiful music on FM radio. Now all you do is hear on these stations on FM mostly gang rap video or gang rap or something, and they're just talking about these things. And if you listen closely, you can see that it's just filth contained with women and men, doing things that's not right, and that's going to bring the community together. And they're just singing these things from their rap videos or whatever it is right on the radio. Now, the Jewish community, my father's community, and the Spanish community even would not want their people to be denigrated by their own people this way. And the denigration from our folks is terrible, and they're not helping our race, really. They're just, making more genocide of people being killed. And we talk about the killing in the Palestinian countries and with Israel, with Netanyahu and things like that. But we have to hold in mind that these countries have been at war with each other for a long time, with Palestine and Israel. And it's sad, because when Jimmy Carter had them in that field at the White House, and they were all coming together, I thought. But I don't know. That Egyptian president was also assassinated after that. This other man had cancer, I think. Yasser Arafat, he wound up dying from cancer or something. And really, they really didn't get very far with that situation with trying to bring peace without, in the Middle East and things like that. But anyway, closing, Dominic, I'd like to say this, that we have a lot of homework to do, because my feeling is that Wall Street is not going to pay us no mind, that they're only going to go by the elite, the ones that have billions of dollars like Elon Musk. Those are the people that's going to run this country now. It's not going to be by the people for the people, unless we can get Trump out of there, And if we don't get a successful Democrat that thinks rational without dividing everybody, because some of these people will go in with very extreme liberal ideas, and they're not going to help. We need people that can think clearly and rational about how to keep families together without the breakup of husbands dividing from their wives. And the way it is now, it's the women that's holding the house, but they're not holding it very well, because these young juveniles, now they even had a law, I guess it's under Trump now for the district, where the 16-year-olds, the age is going to drop to 14, where they're going to be considered adults. So, and I think Jenny could speak to that, what they're doing with the juveniles and, the crime that they're committing. If they're caught with a gun, my God, Trump is probably going to try to put that young man or young woman straight to you know where. So I'd like to get you and Jenny's response. And Dominic, thank you. I love you, and I love your father. And he's so right when he says that, where are the fathers? Because I tell you, he was right before he left that that studio. Where are these men? That's my opinion. Because, see, all of the businesses my daughter and I go, and we see on a daily basis nothing but black men on the street roaming around, begging people for money. This is an all-time high since I remembered coming in this city. It was never blacks doing that, maybe 2 or 3, but you never saw 20 and 30 a day out there just begging people, and they're mostly black. They're not Hispanic. You may see 1 or 2, 3 Hispanic, but you'll see 20 blacks out there to 3 Hispanics begging. So we got to straighten up our house, folks. You know, I'm not trying to be prejudiced, but we're going to be going around Robin Hood's barn forever until we understand we got to grow up. We got to stop this immature mentality. We're immature, a lot of us, not all, but I'm saying until we grow up like other folks, we will always stay this way. And I'd like to get you and Jenny's response about the juveniles that will be considered adults under this administration. And
that's serious.
Dominic,
and I know that Jennifer, you know, is working very closely with a lot, you know, criminal justice reform in general, and you know, and as it relates to, you know, what is it, the jobs, I mean, justice in our jails and justice in prison reform. So I know that you care very deeply to that. And in terms of juveniles, I feel like, you know, we've had many different discussions around this, but I feel like as we are increasing and as these discussions are increasing, right, even about violence now and how we are dealing with it, I feel like the ramifications of the policy that is implemented moving forward, we will see these ramifications, unfortunately, you know, happening where our black and brown people are unfortunately at the receiving end of getting the brunt of how these policies and these unfortunate situations play out in policy and how we deal with that. It becomes a trickling effect when we become complacent in dealing with how these policies happen. And then once they're implemented and they happen, then we're like, oh my goodness, look at this. Like, we've got to push back instead of really dealing with them, you know, head on going in terms of what we can do to be more actively involved in preventing those things before they reach the policy level and getting these things ramified. What do you feel about that, Sister Jennifer?
Absolutely. And Dominique, could I just say one more thing? Could I say one more thing?
Mrs. Richardson, Lord. No, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say,
keep it real.
I don't see any. Do you and Jenny ever see the people up there protesting? My husband, we look at it, and there's no one on Capitol Hill really protesting Donald Trump as a rule. We don't see anybody up there. And where are the protesting against this administration? Because it just seems like many of the Democrats are asleep, because you don't hear any of these well-known you know, people from the Democratic Party, you know.
And that's why we went to Wall Street, Mrs. Richardson. That's exactly why we did the march on August 28th, because we've got to amplify that. You're absolutely right about that. But Sister Jennifer, I do want to get your response before we get back to, before we have to take a break, because I know we said a mouthful here. I just want to streamline the conversation and move forward. We got a lot of callers.
I really appreciate her thoughts and her opinions, and we have to hear from every perspective so we reach the right conclusions. One thing I'll just quickly share on the Trump's thinking that we should lower the age of criminal, it's called criminal adult responsibility. So what's happened in the country over the course of the last 10 years or so is that many states have changed the age for which a young person can be tried as an adult. Remember, if you were tried and convicted, there's usually a harsher sentence if you're over the age of 18 than if you're younger. And in many states, they've been able to charge children as young as 11, 12 years old as adults when they commit crimes, certain crimes. Most states in the last 10 years have actually changed that and have created the age of adult criminal responsibility, have raised it to 18 unless it's something really egregious, a really harmful, egregious crime. And sometimes it drops down to 16 or so. Not every state has it. I think North Carolina may still be the last holdout. But Donald Trump is trying to exert his authority over the District of Columbia because the federal government has authority over D.C. And a lot of states are now talking about maybe they'll change it and drop the age again so that young people can be tried and convicted as adults. The issue here, and I'll say real quickly, is that research shows the brain is not fully developed until the age of like 24, 26. And the brain, when it comes to controlling impulse and anger management, doesn't fully mature, like physically. The brain doesn't fully mature until the 20s. So when you also have children who've been, grown up in very stressful environments, have been denied many different opportunities, you're going to see a lot of anger, inability to manage anger well, and issues attending to that. And that's why a lot of states raise the age of criminal responsibility. It's not because kids are just out here wilding. You drop the age, they're still going to be out here doing whatever they may be doing. Because it's not a law that makes them think, oh my God, I can go to prison if I commit this crime. It's their sometimes inability to control their actions. And I'm not saying that everybody's going to be wild and just because they're under the age of 18. I'm just telling that there's a lot of scientific research behind why they raised the age in the first place.
All right. Sister Jennifer Jones-Austin, always thank you for your insight. Mrs. Richardson, thank you for that comment. I really feel like it was insightful. We need to have and include more of that in the discussion as we are talking about what we can actually do to combat not only this violence, but in the conversation as we're dealing with being involved, staying committed, and really committing to that plan of action of what we can do. I hear that music. We're going to take a break. Dominic Sharpton is sitting in for Rev. Rev is coming back after the break along with Sister Jennifer Jones-Austin. You can join in on the conversation. Call us at 1-877-532-5797. We'll be back with more of Keeping It Real with Sharpton. We'll be right back.
I want to ask you a question, and that is, what is in your life's blueprint? This is the most important and crucial period of your lives, for what you do now and what you decide now at this age may well determine which way your life shall go. And whenever a building is constructed, you usually have an architect who draws a blueprint. And that blueprint serves as the pattern, as the guide, as the model for those who are to build the building. And a building is not well erected without a good, sound, and solid blueprint. Now, each of you is in the process of building the structure of your lives. And the question is whether you have a proper, a solid, and a sound blueprint. And I want to suggest some of the things that should be in your life's blueprint. Number one in your life's blueprint should be a deep belief in your own dignity, your own worth, and your own somebodyness. Don't allow anybody to make you feel that you are nobody. Always feel that you count. Always feel that you have worth. And always feel that your life has ultimate significance.
Rev, you know, you were right there
From the beginning.
with the stuff that
Yep.
was going on in Brooklyn at
Yep.
that time, at
Yep.
Howard Beach. You were right there.
He had in one of the early movies, he had my name. Then he put me in Malcolm, and I wasn't even old enough to know Malcolm. So we've been through it all.
For those who see Malcolm X, it's 3 hours. But fast forward to the scene yourself, Bobby Seale.
Right. Bobby Seale, Denzel, and me.
Yeah.
Denzel was on the set.
Now, let me ask a question.
Yep.
What was your weight on that scene?
I probably about 270. I was bigger then.
Yeah.
Still had the hair, man.
Yeah, you had the head on.
Yeah, it was
Denzel, yourself, and Bobby Seale.
Yeah, all in one scene.
And also, there was no cut. We went like this.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Only Spike could have done that.
It's my brother right here.
My baby.
Brooklyn's in the house.
Yes, sir.
Brooklyn's in the house.
BK. Oh, do I seem excited? I am excited because this Saturday, the National Action Network Saturday Action Rally starts live on WBLS 107.5 FM in New York. We're going to expand. Every Saturday morning, we're live on WBLS 107.5 from 10 a.m. to 11. You'll hear the message. You'll feel the energy. You'll be involved. You won't be sitting around talking about, oh my God, look at what's happening. You'll be involved in dealing with what's happening. I'm excited, and you should be excited to turn on WBLS 10 a.m. every Saturday morning. I have a message for you, and if you want to, you can come to the House of Justice and be there live, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue. We kick off at 9, and we don't stop until we deal with getting our people energized. No justice! No justice! What do we want? What do we want?
We are the sons and the daughters. We gotta stand up and make it loud. Just like our God told the Pharaoh, let my people go. We are a new generation from the ones who have come before. He's calling us into freedom, let my people go. We never shine, never shade. Give me a papa make the heavens. If you don't say you know what trouble, let my people go. The blood, sweat, and the tears that we gathered through the years. If you don't say you know what trouble, let my people go. Wade in the water, we lay wade in the water, children.
Even if they said no, if I didn't ask them to please say something and bless us here today, and encourage us, because where we are, we need guidance, we need direction. Reverend Sharpton, if you could please guide us and say a few words, because we just must. There's no way you're in our midst.
Baku is so special to all of us. And what has happened this week, let me tell you, Baku and Rich Dennis and the rest will not tell you, against all obstacles, they said we're going to make this happen. I was here 31 years ago when Essence Music Festival started. I've spoken at every one for 31 years. They wanted to stop this. They ended DEI. But just because they ended DEI, we will not DEI. Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. Jennifer Jones Austin, Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin is our co-host. And thank Dominique for sitting in for me.
had to make a very important run. Let's go back to the phones, Jenny. Let's go to Demetrius in Cleveland, Ohio. Demetrius, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Hey, thank you very Sharpton, and good evening to Miss Austin as well. Yeah, I just want to comment on concerning the climate and violence. I believe also in the society you have to get to the root of why there is so much violence, because even worldwide, because a lot of people feel like they've been exploited, and also there's a lot of abuse going on in the home and through the social media, and also because of greed. People want to possess what other people have, so they be biased against the people, or they try to take it away by force. So people have to control, their own passions, their own wants of other people's belongings, and also provide justice for people around the world. Some people feel that they've been exploited, and they feel like the only recourse it is violence. And also through the social media as well, people can degrade people on social media, or have character assassinations, to try to make someone feel bad about themselves, or make society look at them bad because that person is making an impact, on the world. Going back to the counter-pro, with J. Edgar Hoover and some other people in the government in the 60s and 70s, their main goal was for character assassination. And I see that going on today as well, even among people not part of the government. If some people feel like they compete with other people, they intentionally try to make the other person less in society. And to me, that's detrimental, to people's self-esteem, and also contribute to violence, because a lot of violence on the street occurs because of what people read on social media. And they feel like the only recourse is to get back at that person in a violent way if they see them on the street, or at a public gathering, or in a club somewhere. So it's very important, people, not to do that. And people have strong self-esteem about themselves. Like you say, going back, you always bring up, James Brown's song, Black and Proud. People have to be proud about themselves. Black people be proud about their eyes, their lips, their complexion, their natural features. Because if people condemn that, they're because they've been brainwashed for society to think to have black characteristics is a bad thing. It's a good thing worldwide, because other people are trying to look like us. For us to demean our own looks, just trying to blend with society, it's continuing on racism, and also just envy of other people. So we have to alleviate, abusing another person. Also, society as a whole and the country as a whole have to try not to don't exploit other countries, like happening in from Ukraine and Russia. It's all about exploitation and greed for Ukraine resources, and it may lead to a worldwide conflict, because it can spill into Poland, it can spill into the other middle countries. Those countries it's not going to tolerate, because they remember what happened when the Nazis were taking over countries slowly by slowly, and it could lead to a world catastrophe. And because it reminded lastly, I see it on Spike Lee new movie with Denzel Washington over the weekend. The high and lowest. It really gave me insight about, especially in society, especially in our community. You have some people in society who want to join on, to people who are doing things, yet they want to bring bad habits on. They want to bring violent behavior, or they want to take advantage of people. If they feel like they can't take advantage of people, they're going to use the violent means, to try to get what they want. So they can't do that. They have to realize you have to do what that person did to get where he's at. You can't be mad at someone and then going to take it out on them because they want to bring on a person along with them who's violent and get not just violent but have any kind of bad behavior. So it's very important for people to realize some people want to bring on bad baggage with them if they try and be successful.
Mm-hmm.
Some things is not good, not at all. Thank you very much. Listen to me.
Thank you for your call. Jenny, I think that he raises a very interesting and important question, because I think that this whole question of we're here 24 years later after 9/11, and one day after the killing of Kirk. And though I went and spoke for a hearing for last hour, which is why I was out, and even there I said that I pray for Charlie Kirk's family, because as being one that was a target of an assassination attempt, I feel for that, whether I agree with him or not. But what I'm saying is the combination of violence from September 11th to yesterday, all these schools now, we have many of these HBCUs now being closed down today because of threats. I'm getting threatening phone calls here at the office. This American infatuation with violence and guns is at the root of this, Jenny. And no matter what happens, I'm talking about elementary school kids killed. We cannot get these right wingers to back up off these guns.
They don't back up, because we got to remember this is how the nation was founded, right? I mean, you had people who came from another country who were ostracized. They say that many of the people who founded America, the people who came over from Europe, were people who were ostracized in their communities. They were seen as less than. And so what happened was they came over here and they started a nation, and they pitted, themselves, or I should say that they put themselves in a position of superiority over Native Americans. And how did they do that? They did it with violence. Slavery was violent. Every major act in terms of conquest, people and land and what have you, has been through violence. And what happens in America is that people resort to violence when they can't deal with people one-on-one and deal with the issues. And so the challenge that we have before us right now is that the nation, it's almost like violence is the equivalent of apple pie. When they say something is as American as apple pie, it's like violence is as American as apple pie. And until we get right-wing people, you would think that when they begin to be killed themselves, do you remember several years back there was a baseball game played by congressional leaders, Republicans and Democrats, and there was a shootout at the baseball game. I think it was in Washington, D.C., or right outside of Washington, D.C., and there was somebody came and shot at the Republicans, and you thought, well, maybe they would respond then. And they won't. They won't, because they are backed so much by the National Rifle Association, NRA. They get a lot of resources and funding from that. And then they've got people who confuse Second Amendment with, or they conflate the issue of gun control with the taking away of your it's not the same thing. So until we get people to really help them understand, your guns don't have to all be taken away from you, but we need to practice gun safety. Until we get the right-wingers and the conservatives, the Republicans, to push back at the NRA and stand up and talk about these issues in a way that helps people to understand that enforcement of Second Amendment rights does not mean that everybody gets to have a gun and go wildly. Until we do that, we're not going to get anywhere.
Let's go to Ray in Cincinnati, Ohio. Ray at the Buzz in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Yeah, thanks for taking my call, Rev. Rev, a couple things, and condolences to Charlie Kirk's family. And this should have never have happened. And I was listening to a lot of the shows yesterday, and people were saying that on the MAGA side, all the good he did for the MAGA crew and the Republicans, But again, you got to talk about the things that he didn't stand for. He didn't stand for diversity, equity, and inclusion. He didn't stand for voting rights. He didn't stand for civil rights. Trump came onto the scene in 2015. This country's been going downhill ever since. Talk about violence. He pardoned the January 6th rioters, insurrectionists.
That's right.
All thousands.
Some who assaulted law enforcement officers.
Yeah, and they were okay with that, Rev. They were okay with that. And so for Trump to lower the staff, the flag half staff for a non-politician, that's on him. Fine, but it's just I hate to, I'm not going to speak ill of the dead, but when you're talking about when the Republicans are talking about all the good he's done, you got to keep it fair in the things that he didn't stand for. When you don't stand for when you can't even stand for voting rights and civil rights, and diversity, equity, inclusion, you're not for our people, and when it comes to gun rights, they took out one of their own.
Right.
When you take out somebody as important as Charlie Kirk, one of their own, and you still would say, hey, gun, they don't want to deal with the gun violence and the gun control, they got a problem, or we got a problem. That's all I got, Rev.
All right. Thank you for your call. I think we're up on a break. I'm coming to more of you on the phones, 1-877-532-5797. Or you can go to live stream at nationalactionnetwork.net and post a message on the message board. We'll be right back. Sharpton, Jones Austin, right after this.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you. Thank you very much. Let me thank Charlie King, Dr. Richardson. Most of all, let me thank Reverend Al Sharpton for bringing us all here together today. The Urban Action Network. I am proud to be a candidate for the presidency of the United States of America. But I am mindful that I wouldn't be here if it had not been for Reverend Al Sharpton running for president, and Carol Moseley Brown running for president, and Jesse Jackson running for president, and Shirley Chisholm running for president. They paved the way. And I stand on their shoulders. And I'm proud to acknowledge that debt that I owe. I appreciate Reverend Sharpton for being a voice for the voiceless and a champion for the dispossessed. And as we saw last week, he's still on the front lines, fighting a good fight. And we are thankful for his energy and his willingness to challenge the conventional wisdom. I'm also thankful that Reverend Sharpton has built this organization because what he understands is that change in America doesn't happen from the top down. Change happens from the bottom up. Change happens when millions of voices set the agenda and hold those in power accountable.
We have a house today. So we just wanted to greet you all and thank you for allowing us in. Yes, sir. We would go, we was here.
They were on the plantation.
Our family was on the plantation. Wow. And that's, of course, that's the slave house. That's one of the slave houses.
Sir, it's been 13 years.
That's right.
Good to
How
see
you been?
Doing fine. Good.
Right, last time. And we,
Alexander Shaw. How many slaves were staying here?
I have no idea.
This is where they would have a slavery.
Yeah, that's when exactly. That was exactly.
The two people that most influenced my life were from South Carolina, James and Jesse. Jesse right up the road with me. I went and spoke at his mother's funeral. Jesse walked me to my mother's casket. From South Carolina. That's the balance of my life, James.
Yeah.
Civil rights, shoulders.
But also where your people from too.
Literally.
Yeah, right.
And when I knew Jesse was from James, I started president.
Yeah.
And James had died before I knew about him in South Carolina.
Oh, really?
Yeah. James died December 25th. He died Christmas Day, 06. And they came to do the story for February of 07. They came to me in January. His daughter swear that was his daddy had helped him push the information out.
Wow.
And I called Jesse and told him, do you know that my great-grandfather was a slave about 45, because Greenville right up to I-20. He said, I told you we was connected. That's why you got to listen to me. But now. We've reduced a lot of our ministry to entertainment. Or who can hoop the loudest? Who can run around the pulpit more? Or who got the dresses fancy and don't deal with the ministry. Jesus healed more people than he preached to. Because there is in the healing your message. They followed Jesus because he healed a woman with the issue of blood. They followed Jesus because Jesus saw a blind man named Bartimaeus. A lot of us would have dismissed him because he was a broke, poor, homeless, a blind man. How you know he was broke, Reverend? Because they say he was begging. But he understood what he was doing because he heard that Jesus was passing by. And when Jesus got close enough, he said, Jesus, son of David, come see about me. They kept telling Jesus, let's go. Look, we got a schedule. We got people to see. He said it again. Jesus, son of David, come see about me. And when he did it the third time, Jesus stopped and went and healed the blind man. Now, what I get out of that scripture, Bishop Daughtry, is that the blind man told Jesus, if you are who you say you are, you're going to stop and see me. Yes, sir. And if you stop and see me, you will confirm who you are.
Yeah.
But when we are pastoring and leading in communities with bad health,
Reverend Al Sharpton, Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin is our co-host. Let's go right back to the phone. A lot of callers. Let's go to Deborah in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. WURD, the word. Deborah.
Good afternoon, Mrs. Austin. Good afternoon, Mr. Sharpton. My question is for Mrs. Austin. Last week I called and asked you a question, and you said that you would answer the question after the break, but after the break you forgot to answer the question. My question is, could you tell me if Section 8 spending cuts in Trump's big, beautiful bill, if it has been postponed to after the midterm election?
Is Jenny,
Hello?
Is Jenny there?
I'm right here. Can you hear me?
I hear you now, yes.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I think we talked about it, but maybe you weren't with us any longer. So there are going to be changes made to eligibility determinations, and they actually did not. They weren't in the final bill that was passed. The only changes to Section 8 that are in the one big ugly bill are changes to developer tax incentives. So they do not affect people who are receiving public housing assistance through Section 8 vouchers. So the concerns that you have about the eligibility determinations, they never made it their way into the bill. So don't be worried at all about it. It's not in the bill at this point. It's not in the legislation. It didn't go through.
All right, you hear that?
Unless you're concerned about tax, the only thing that's in there concerns developers. Developers get tax incentive breaks to build housing and then to create units that are more affordable to people with lesser income. That's the only thing that made its way into the bill, the legislation, the final legislation.
So they're not going to cut Section 8 off in December?
She said they're not. It's not in the
right
bill.
Now, it's not in the legislation. Nope, never passed.
Okay.
All right, thank you for your call. Let's
Thank
go to
you.
Yessie.
Don't worry right
Yessie
now.
in
Don't
Atlanta, Georgia. Yessie, you're keeping it real with Sharpton and Jones Austin.
Keeping it real, Al. Can you hear me?
I hear you. Yes.
Wonderful. Glad everyone's doing well. A lot of issues out here. And the question from Dominique, which was wonderful, how do we solving things? Right now, through nonviolence, we need a push to take over the media for a 2-week media international powwow, I guess. I mean, we got internet everywhere. Everybody's got some type of device. Isn't it time we got all the world leaders on one stage at one time, and we got all the scholars out and really expressed how we got to this point in an educational and compassionate manner to all people involved, not with accusation of, oh, you murdered and you did this or you stole this. People did things in war that got us to this point. And people have lied about those things in political arenas, in religious arenas, and the masses are the ones suffering for all of this greed, envy, jealousy, tyrannic ego. And there's only one way to non-violently address this. You have to tell the person, you stole this, you need to own up to this, so that the people who either lost in that situation or are benefiting unknowingly, at least know that these are the circumstances that surround the other circumstances that we're crying about. People walking around in the streets without a job. There's an absolute politically motivated, racially motivated reason for my brothers to look like they don't do anything. So that's the imagery left to the people. And I'd like to say this and leave, Brother Al. This land I claim as our land as indigenous people. And I personally feel the lies, the deceit, the double crossing by other melanated people is the truth that needs to come out so that our people can recognize their true heritage. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your call. Let me see if I can get Lola in here from Philadelphia.
Let's go to break.
Let's go to break. I'll come back and go right after the break. Keeping it real. Sharpton, Jones, Austin. Be right back. No justice! No justice! 62 years ago today, Martin marched in Washington. 62 years later, the dream is not dead.
I'm here because I must be here. Democracy is not there for the pig, and you have to fight for democracy. That's what it is. What Trump will erase, we will replace.
It's the dreamers in many cases have reversed and tried to turn it into a nightmare. We come to Wall Street rather than Washington this year to let them know you can try to turn back the clock, but you can't turn back time. We gonna keep the dream alive on Wall Street. Oh, do I seem excited? I am excited because this Saturday, the National Action Network Saturday Action Rally starts live on WBLS 107.5 FM in New York. We're going to expand. Every Saturday morning, we're live on WBLS 107.5 from 10 a.m. to 11. You'll hear the message. You'll feel the energy. You'll be involved. You won't be sitting around talking about, oh my God, look at what's happening. You'll be involved in dealing with what's happening. I'm excited, and you should be excited to turn on WBLS 10 a.m. every Saturday morning. I have a message for you, and if you want to, you can come to the House of Justice and be there live, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue. We kick off at 9, and we don't stop until we deal with getting our people energized.
I got a Tony.
You got it? My daughter won a Tony Award.
That's crazy.
All right, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Woo!
I want to ask you a question, and that is, what is in your life's blueprint? This is the most important and crucial period of your lives, for what you do now and what you decide now at this age may well determine which way your life shall go. And whenever a building is constructed, you usually have an architect who draws a blueprint. And that blueprint serves as the pattern, as the guide, as the model for those who are to build the building. And a building is not well erected without a good, sound, and solid blueprint. Now each of you is in the process of building the structure of your lives. And the question is whether you have a proper, a solid, and a sound blueprint. And I want to suggest some of the things that should be in your life's blueprint. Number one in your life's blueprint should be a deep belief in your own dignity, your own worth, and your own somebodyness. Don't allow anybody to make you feel that you are nobody. Always feel that you count. Always feel that you have worth. And always feel that your life has ultimate significance.
I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin is my co-host. Don't forget, watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, Saturday and Sunday. And as I have said earlier, in this show over the weekend, I'm going to deal deep into dealing with the question of gun violence, dealing with what happened to blacks around 9/11. I'm going to deal with this redistricting, which does a real threat to the Section 2 of the voting rights law. It will neutralize the effect, period. It would take really the last leg of is imperative that we save that act. And so I'm going to have on Congressman Cleo Fields of Louisiana. It's his district that they're trying to wipe out. I'm going to have on another of the mayoral candidates from New York election. On Andrew Cuomo's confirmed he's coming on. And just like I asked Ma'am Denny questions, I've got some questions for Cuomo. So make sure you watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MSNBC Saturday and Sunday. You that are in the New York area, meet me or beat me to the Saturday Action Rally at the House of Justice, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue in the village of Harlem. Am I on? No. Hello?
Sir, okay, we got you back. You're live, sir.
Yeah. I'm sorry. We had some... Come on. So we were not on? No justice! No justice! 62 years ago today, Martin marched in Washington. 62 years later, the dream is not dead.
I'm here because I must be here.
I got the announcements out about the television show. Let me say that you that are in the New York area, make sure you meet me or beat me to the Saturday Action Rally in Harlem, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Saturday morning at the House of Justice, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue. You that are not in the New York area can watch it live on Impact Television. And you can also get it live stream at nationalactionnetwork.net. And I will be at the Saturday Action Rally in Harlem, then do my television show at 5. Then I'm flying to Houston, where on Sunday morning I'll be preaching. You in the Houston area, I'll be preaching at the Lily Grove Baptist Church. Reverend Terry Anderson, member of our national board, I'll be preaching for him Sunday morning in Houston, Texas, and I'll be doing Politics Nation from Houston on Sunday and head back to New York. All right, Lola from Philadelphia, you're keeping it real with Sharpton and Jones Austin.
Hi, Jenny. Good afternoon. Hi, Jenny. Hi, Reverend Al. It's good to hear you both. I just wanted to say, I want to thank you so much, Reverend Al, for also talking about the redistricting and everything else that's going on. I understand that a man lost his life. However, I think Jenny spoke earlier when Dominique was on that there's been violence in this country since it's started, and going back to the violence of our people, the enslaved people. And I just wanted to say that everything that's happening now, he lost his life, but the same day, there was a shooting in another school, I think at Evergreen. We had the killing in June of I think Melissa Hortman from Minnesota, her husband, and her dog, and then another elected official in Minnesota was critically injured, and his wife. They're just recovering, coming out of the hospital, and we didn't see this president go on TV, say anything about condemning the violence. We already had the rhetoric from the right saying it's all about the left. They haven't even caught this man yet. They don't even know is he registered as a independent or Democrat or Republican or anything. And so everybody's saying that the rhetoric and the hate needs to tamp down. Yes, but it's always like telling black people that there's a problem with race in this country. Yeah, it's not. The other people white people have to deal with this. And so for them to already come out, all of the senators and all the House representatives in Washington, the Republicans saying this is the left's fault, this is the Dems' fault, without even they're tamping it up even more. So people who are out there who are unwell in their basements and all that stuff or whatever they're doing, they're feeding off of that. They're feeding off of look. They're saying it's the left, so they're keeping this going. And so it's not always on us to tamper down this violence and everything that's in this country. This is on this administration. And somebody else called and said, since he's come in, the country has went down. We have seen nothing but hate speech, downing people, bullying. He talked about the person with the disability. He talks about people who are who might have weight gain or obese. He talks about women and their looks. We have all this violence that happened on January the 6th. All of this violence and everything. We have never seen this type of violence come from Biden, Obama, Clinton, none of them. Every time a Republican is in, there is major, major violence. And in the 60s, we had 4 assassinations. When this country is in a fight for black people, for other people who they feel shouldn't be here, how they're getting rid of people who are working, the immigrants, how they did the South Korean people, after you say, come over here with this deal, and then he does that. You know, he's ruining and destroying this country, and it's so sad. It is so disgusting, and it's despicable to even sit here. And I know that we have the rights, and we're out here, we're doing the stuff that Reverend Al and Wall Street and protesting and stuff. But when you're just sitting here and you're seeing this stuff happen in front of you, and like Jenny said, like when you have this type of hate speech out there, unfortunately, sometimes these type of things are going to happen, and people are dying and losing their lives every day. But let's not forget the elected officials who were murdered in June. He didn't come out on TV. Nobody, the right didn't say this is, and,
no,
and
that's
that
right.
man was
Well,
proven.
I mean, let's not forget, and thank you for your call, Lola. Let's not forget about a man broke in Nancy Pelosi's house and almost killed her husband, and he act like that was nothing. But that's why I'm not going to be low down because he's low down. All of this is wrong. But they clearly only deal with it when it's on their side, and that is despicable and immoral. Let's get Todd in. Todd, is Policy Day. Todd with Sharpton and Jones Austin.
Reverend Al Sharpton, Jennifer Jones Austin.
Yes, sir.
Germany, Italy, France, England, Japan twice. All countries that were founded on major acts of violence and maintained through major acts of violence. And none of them have the rate of violence anywhere near the United States. And it's not just because of their gun legislation, because once you separate the weapons of firearms violence in those countries, they're still much less violent than the United States. And they have access to all the media that we have access to. Where these countries separate from the United States, who also are all, by the way, performing overall on a higher level in their taxpayer-funded public schools, is their civic engagement. Past the vote, before the vote, and during the vote, their civic engagement is much, much higher. And the Japanese people that come to this country come here and they still outperform everybody, white people included. So here's where the answers are. It's 5 things to be invested in from a civic engagement point, intensely and in high populations. And I sent this to Jenny and she didn't respond to it, but that's cool. Here's where they are.
Wait, you sent me what? Wait, you got to send it to me again because you say you send me things, and I've never gotten anything from you, Todd. I'm not exaggerating when I say that. So I'll give you another email address, which you want to see. I'll try and give you another email, but I'm not getting anything. And my team can tell you that. I would not ignore something you sent me. That's not how I roll.
I'm just going to tell you, I sent it to the email that I gave you, that you gave me. And then I told you I sent it the next week, and now I'm just now hearing that you didn't get it. But that's cool. Your word's good enough for me. So let's move forward. So here are the 5 things that must be invested in order to lower violence in the country through civic engagement. The taxpayer-funded public schools, the taxpayer-funded rec centers, the taxpayer-funded libraries, the population of people that live and or have businesses in the various council wards have to be participants in the council ward projects that lend themselves to the common good in a high population and or an intense population, and citizens review boards. And that's really a big deal, because if you look at the major cities in the countries that I named, their citizens review boards are highly active, and you can see that in their how they conduct themselves in their prison systems and in their what they call council, what the equivalent is of their council wards in those countries. that's where the violence goes down because the interest goes down. And that also works in this country. I keep pointing out Arlington, Texas, the 50th most populous city in the country, and San Diego, California, the 8th most populous cities in the country. And they have high participations in those 5 things, and their violence is low. And their advancement of their public through taxpayer-funded entities is high. I mean, Cleveland, Ohio has, I've said this before, and the facts stand. Cleveland, Ohio has only 2 major rivals as far as library systems goes and resources. That's the Library of Congress. Nobody's going to catch the library. And the New York City library system. Nobody's going to catch them. So why is it that Cleveland has such a high illiteracy rate? Why is more than 60% of the adult population in Cleveland reading at a 4th grade level or lower? It's because of poor civic engagement, and that also is a major contributor to high violence in the city. And it doesn't help, and I'm using Cleveland as an example, that the mayor is poorly invested in all 5 of the things that I mentioned in actual actions.
All right, let Jenny, we're going to run out of time.
Go ahead.
Let Jenny respond. Don't run the clock on us, brother.
You know, you've heard me say before, Jack, I don't think that the answer to crime in America is simply more civic engagement. And if you listen to governors like Westmore, who's done some good work in Maryland and has invested a lot in what they call poverty stressors, the things that help prevent crime by giving people the resources that they need to reduce their stress and to reduce the level of crime that's associated with people just not having enough. Civic engagement is important, but it's not the magic pill that you make it to be.
I'm going to have to leave it there. Thank you for your call, Todd. Let me thank Attorney Jennifer Jones-Austin. Let me thank Dominique for sitting in for me for 30, 40 minutes. Let me thank all of you that called in, listened in, you that called in and couldn't get through, but hung in there anyhow. Remember, whatever you do, wherever you go, however you feel, tell somebody, tell everybody, tell anybody. Reverend Al told you personally, keep it real. Keep it real. Keep it real. I'll talk to you